Welcome back to the program. We're talking about the June 12th Democracy Day and its impact on Nigeria's democracy and also the way forward for our democracy. And we have been talking with veteran Olawale Okuniyi, who's the DG National Consultative Front NC. He's also the spokesperson pro NACO. So we're talking about the that June 12, 1993 election. It's been described as the freest and the fairest election Nigeria has ever had.
Most credible.
Yeah, credible till now. And that was a time Nigerians overlooked religion and ethnicity. But somewhere along the line from that time, we have had several uprisings for secession. We've had IPOB, we've had terrorism from the north, even though they are not really asking to be for secession.
It's
been an unrest. Oduduwa Nation, Yoruba Nation, all manner of that. Okay, looking at that all this has come up. Do you think Nigeria can ever come out of it? Do you think we can still be one people?
We can come out of it. All those agitations are geared towards inclusion and democracy, real democracy, which we still don't have at this time. It's just pseudo-democratic, and that's why you see agitation for Yoruba Nation. Why would anybody want Yoruba Nation if there is inclusion? You don't want to go, you don't want to live, but there is exclusion. Why would anybody talk about Biafra if everything is right here, if they don't feel cheated or marginalized or excluded? Nobody. When you are at peace in a nation, you want to stay, you want to be part of it. But when you see that it's no longer bearable, it is clear that you are shortchanged, you are cheated, you are excluded, there will be agitation. Even when you quell that agitation, because it is existential situation, it will rise up. So we will still be, if we can do the right thing. And I think our ruling class will begin to put us on the route of democratic, constitutional rearrangement of Nigeria for a federation, for a balanced federation. It is very imperative that the political class, the ruling class, the elites, the governing elite, do something about that immediately. Well, the benefit in some of these division too and conflict, they use people against so that they can also, enrich themselves still and things like that. But it won't last. Such process won't last. It will end up in anarchy. One day you find out there is no Nigeria. The way we are going with exclusion, you will find out. So we need to really calibrate immediately and put the people on a pedestal of democratic discussion, or what you call national dialogue. That way we can get to stability. People can feel belong. They can feel it that we jointly own this place. So that when you have that concern, discussion, we spell out how the different ethnic nationalities or the people, different diverse peoples of the country wants to be governed. The Christian, the Muslim. But that must come from a people's conference, a truly people's conference, not by government. No government that is agent of the people in government or government can give a country a constitution, no matter how good or popular that government is. You must refer that back to the people through their representative, elected representative. And those elected representatives will be the one to deal, say, well, we have this mandate to say this, to say this, to say that, and then we collectively come up with a concern that can help us go, that this is our agreement. This is our collective agreement. This is how we want to run together. We have agreed. And when you agree like that, if there is anything, then you live by it or you go back to the table and say, look, oh, there is something. But if there is anything, you feel, well, I take responsibility.
You are saying that the National Assembly, the 360 members in the House of Reps,
that is government,
and then the
that is
909 are not representative enough.
No, that is they were not choosing. That's the mistake we make in constitution making.
How do you choose?
You don't
true,
a constitution
credible
constitution making is a special project, special program. Is not geared towards governance. You can only have those who are elected to National Assembly and House of Reps, and they are elected to govern according to the constitution given by the people, and they are bound by that. The people must first give you are my agent, but this is what I want you to use to manage my asset.
All right,
and therefore the people in government, National Assembly is an arm of government. The executive is an arm of judiciary. So they can only do what the people in their sovereignty has given to them. And they can also be recalled by the dictates and provision of the constitution of the people.
So sorry, based on still talking about this constitution, are you saying that if that 1999 constitution as amended is not revisited and rejigged, our democracy will still continue to suffer in the way it's still going? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it will be stunted. It won't move anywhere because the people have really not given you a contract or a covenant that they have agreed. It's a covenant. It's not coming from. It's coming from another government, a military government, for that matter.
We have a document from the 2014 National Confab, which was close to what you are recommending now. Maybe the outcome of that of the confab, if it had been implemented by the succeeding administration, maybe that would have been close to your desire. Now, or how do you think that document can be of importance or be applied to our nationhood now, so that all those agitations we are talking about, presidential system of government, which we think is very, very expensive by a cameral legislature and all of that, we copy from America. But we don't seem to have the resources because we keep going about cap in hand. Now, how do you think we can revisit some of these documents? Nigerians are not bereft of ideas. But how can we apply them so that we can move forward our democracy as a nation?
Or maybe it has gone obsolete.
Oh, no, nothing is so obsolete. We have so many documents. All the government needs to do is to get them together, look at them again in a committee, and see how we can refresh them. See what to remove from this, what to remove from that. The Jonathan 2014 National Conference, I was part of that. I was a delegate of that conference in 2014, and that conference was appointive. It was not an elective conference, and that is the limitation, in which case the people did not really, in the real sense of it, elect,
determine those represent them.
Yeah. And so, there was no thorough working out of representative, the constituencies to be represented. So that's the limitation at that level. But the product of that was very far-reaching and profound and very progressive of that conference. I'm still talking like this because I'm an expert in the matter of constitution making. If I want to be sentimental, I'll just say, well, the conference, but I know the limitation of an appointive. It can only serve an advisory body or come out with advisory to government and say, government, this is our advice on now Nigeria. Because, so government still need to take it, that is the executive, using section 5 of the 1999 Constitution, to the National Assembly as a bill and say, well, we have this proposal and we want it to become the concern of the people. But we want you to amend Section 8 of 4 of Section 8 of 9 and allow Nigerian people to sit in their various constituencies, represented by their various constituencies, to enact some of this provision in the conference into the constitution. So it will still have to go through that process, because you cannot give a nation a constitution through governmental or government fiat. You can only give it through the people. So that from Jonathan regime, I expected Buhari to take it and say, but because people don't have understanding, there are no strategies even in government. You see government run anyhow. Babangida himself was very clever and smart. Maybe he recruited so many brains.
So then Babangida has become a hero now.
No, he's not a hero, but he will become a hero comparatively.
All right, I think we should move forward.
In comparative,
that is not, that's an error we don't want to remember.
No, you should remember. When you compare what Babangida did to what has happened, you want to compare him to Abacha, you want to compare him to Buhari, you want to compare him to... I mean, you saw the manner that even this fuel subsidy was removed.
Okay, let's look at other
fuel subsidy is gone. Do you run government like that? You run government of people?
Should we proceed
a democracy? So, but for a Babangida, very clever man, he will say, well, there's a committee of form to help us look at it. He'll go through the nation and the rest. And though we know he didn't want to, but you see, the people...
Whether or not the current president mentioned it, are you aware there's a budgetary provision till the end of June?
That is a Bobby trap now.
No, it's not a Bobby trap. It's constitutional. The outgone administration had limited the budget, the subsidy till the end of June. Whether or not it claimed it now,
if I were to be the president,
it had been decided.
You know what I would do?
How would you
if I were to be the president?
How would you have handled it?
I would not do it that way. With my knowledge of Nigerian people,
and allow yourself to be compromised later.
There is no compromise. The thing I say, well, with what I inherit, there is no budget for this. But then the people have to decide the method, the ways, and the strategy. And therefore, I am setting up a commission, a people's commission for geopolitical zone, labor, civil society, private sector, to look at this thing within 3 weeks and recommend to us. They must also engage the people. Just like look at Jonathan 1 week. They engaged at, I think, Muson Center when they wanted Uga. They came, brought Sanusi, and then there was national debate.
Let's look at...
Though it was limited, but it was something. But not to say with fiat, dictatorial fuel subsidy is gone.
In democracy, institutions, the strength of the institutions determine how viable democracy is in any country. For us in this part of the world, we've encountered some challenges. The judiciary, for instance, you recall the days of Enoge, how he was actually relieved of his position. Now, how do you think we can actually strengthen those institutions such that the judiciary, the legislative arm, and the executive would act independently, and beyond these institutions, every other institution will act according to the dictates of the Constitution, such that one power does not override the other. So, what do you suggest as the way forward to ensure that these institutions are empowered and strengthened?
Well, thank you. If the Bible says the foundation be faulty, what can the righteous do? Our constitution is faulty, and it gives humongous power, one-sided power to the executive. The executive is almost next to God. They can ride roughshod of anything. See the way Onoye was removed. Therefore, we need to rebalance through a democratic constitutional engineering. That is we must go to the foundation. Why it is the God. This is not to preach. I don't like preaching to people. Because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It will never change. It was Thomas who said that human beings are essentially selfish. Human beings, essentially. is human beings. They want to, the self-preservation is the first condition of humanity. You want to preserve yourself, self. But if you have laws that are weighed by all of us as agreed and strong enough, and say, look, oh boy, you cannot sit in that place. You cannot, you will caution yourself. That is where you have rule of law. But where the law itself gives room for corruption and absolute use of power, there is nothing you can do. Because if you give me that power too, I will use it. I will use it because I want to preserve myself and what I'm doing. So power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. So the only thing to do is for a collective, democratic, constitutional re-engineering of the political architecture of Nigeria. That way, you can then evolve through democracy. But now, what you have today is still autocracy, democracy in the military gap, because the constitution given and foisted, in the country is given by the military, and it's a military with military spirit. In constitutionalism or in constitutional, it was Hans Mogenton who talked about the spirit of the law. The spirit of our law is pure military spirit. When they were doing that law, they were envisaging military. They haven't come out of their military psyche when they imposed the president. And people keep amending. You cannot, I have said it 20 years ago, that you will not amend the 1999 Constitution and get it democratic.
All right,
it's not
Mr.
possible.
President,
Except
who
to
is
start
one of the
afresh.
people who were at the forefront for restructuring? Right from time, NADECO and all that, they've always wanted Nigeria to be restructured. So if you are talking about devolution of power, do you see us going in this line of restructuring with, even though you said the matter is still in court, but with the person that is the president of Nigeria for now, do you see him going that route?
I just told you, even Buhari could not do it. Buhari, that was Mr. Integrity.
So what's the agitation
He
for
was
you know that is not doable?
No, Buhari, that was Mr. Integrity. I was principal in facilitating the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari. I did most of what you call the propaganda and writing. I put most of the machinery that you see progressive, mobilized all of those leaders that are gone now, building the mega summit movement, thinking that Buhari would do it. Under the leadership of Chiminena, I was instructed. I saw the disappointment. The man couldn't even live to do one single thing that we agreed. Ajoel Oguna Ikeye or doing Pronaco conference. He was in Pronaco. So power corrupts. Absolute power corrupt absolutely. You will never be able to do it because you see, you also enjoy it. You don't want to commit political suicide. They give you power, it's your time. So that is the problem that is happening. Anybody who hears, so the best is for a president that is living to facilitate that process. But a president that comes to enjoy, you want to use all those power and the Babangida power, which is an absolute power.
As we coast home, give our people hope, because the larger proportion of your submission here today is to the fact that we are not there yet and we are far from reaching the El Dorado. But still give our people hope that we are on the right course. It may take us some time there before we get there, but at least we are on the right path. So I think you should give us hope before we leave.
Well, the only hope for the people is that a people united cannot be defeated. They must come together and be cohesive and united in the quest to take Nigeria back to the mass of the people. They must be united to deliver themselves. If they have to protest, they will have to protest peacefully and intelligently. Because power can only bow to higher power. And the highest power, sovereign power, belongs to the people if they are united. No amount of police or army or whatever can crush a people united. So they must be united to say, no, enough is enough. That is the only hope I see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that is in the spirit of the June 12th struggle, where we said no to military government. And we're on the field.
So when
We're
you leave here now, you are going to the field.
commanding the field.
So what's going to happen
well,
today?
it's to celebrate, is to also do a national dialogue, and then galvanize momentum for the way forward. So whatever we agree to, we will implement. We have always implemented.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you,
time.
Veteran
Mrs. Sede.
Obawale Okuniyi. Thank you so much for joining us on this auspicious day of the June 12th Democracy Day. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be with you.
And that's our program today. Thank you for being a part of it. And once again, wishing you happy Democracy Day. I am Jumoke. Michael, see you again.
Yes, it's been nice in the last 55 minutes or thereabout. We've actually brought to your screen issues concerning democracy in our country. But I believe that we'll get there one day, irrespective of whatever we may be experiencing now. My name is Banji Busari. Go out there and celebrate this our Democracy Day. Bye-bye.